This video was inspired by the tears of my wife. Hello there, morons. It's Victor, King of the Morons. Welcome to Give Me a Flake Man, one of the many channels for Japanese for Morons. By the way, for those of you who are interested in just studying language, I've revived my Japanese for Morons channel. Please go check that out. There's a new video I uploaded earlier today. Let me get back to the tears of my wife. 2 days ago, August 15th, is the day that commemorates the Japan's surrender to the armed forces to America, the USA, and bringing about the end of World War II. Of course, this came after the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And 2 days ago, watching television, they were doing a special on something in Japan called Tokotai, which you know as kamikaze pilots and kamikaze units. Tokotai stands for Tokubetsu, which is special, Kogeki, which is attack, and Tai, which is unit. So literally, special attack unit. And these are the suicide bombers. Now, they were interviewing some of the soldiers who luckily for them, they did not have to do their duty and sacrifice their lives for the emperor because the war ended before they were sent off, to die. And actually, there's a whole bunch of different versions. There are a whole bunch of different kinds of suicide bombers and attackers. And I got to do a video on that. But if you're interested, go check that stuff out. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, now we were watching the show, and they were interviewing this old guy, and he was like, I just wanted peace, and I wanted to do my duty and sacrifice my life, which I knew was my duty, but at the same time, so many people had died, and I thought, if I'm not here to rebuild Japan, who's going to do it? And he was tearing up, and my wife was crying, and I got to admit, it was pretty touching. Almost as touching as some of the scenes in Toy Story 3. But, very, very bad taste joke. But anyway, I did cry quite a bit in that movie. Anyway, so it was a good show. And a little bit later on TV, they showed the emperor very sincerely apologizing. Not apologizing, just remembering the war dead and paying respects to the dead. And I felt that he was being very sincere. And I thought, wow, that's really great, and that's really cool, and Japan has really changed. And my wife was saying, I don't really understand how people could have been that way back in the day, which give me hope, because because you never really know, I mean, you always hear in the media that Japan is becoming such a right-wing country and stuff like that. So you always get a little bit worried. But it turns out, or it looks to me that kind of Japan is in the past. And then a little bit later on the internet, they showed that Prime Minister Abe did not visit Yasukuni, which I thought was a good thing, because I don't know if you know about Yasukuni so much, but Yasukuni is a shrine that was built basically to remember Japanese soldiers, and a lot of almost 2.5 million Japanese soldiers are enshrined or remembered there. They're listed there, and it's a big controversy every year, because if a prime minister, a Japanese prime minister, or any Japanese official visits Yasukuni, all our surrounding neighbors here in this area. Of course, we're in Japan right now, so I'm talking about South Korea, of course, North Korea too nowadays, although they didn't exist back in the day, and China and Taiwan, which is not officially a country. You guys can argue about that in the comments, but they all get pissed off. They're like, this is a big insult, and can you imagine what Europe would do if Germany decided to honor Hitler's grave or something like that? And it's a big controversy. So this year, the Prime Minister of Japan did not visit Yasukuni, which I thought was very, that's very considerate. You're trying to, because right now, we have a lot of problems with our neighbors, because I say our, but Japan, because I live here. Japan has problems right now with China over the Dokdo Islands and Takeshima Islands and South Korea. Of course, I got the islands mixed up there, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so I thought, right now, because things are kind of bad with those our relations are not, prime right now. We're on a down right now. He was being considered by not visiting Yasukuni. However, he did send a gift, and about 90 other lawmakers from the cabinet from Tokyo visited. So it wasn't it wasn't perfect at all. But the other thing was, he did not express any fukai kokai, or deep remorse for any of the victims of World War II. He didn't mention anything about that at all. So I thought that was interesting. it was kind of weird. It was like, are you trying to be considerate, or are you trying to placate the right wingers? I mean, what are you doing, you know? But I also realized that I don't really understand the Yasukuni issue. So I did a little research on this, and I thought I would pass that research along to you. And here's what I found out. Now, Yasukuni Shrine was originally formed in the 1800s, 1867, I believe, by the Meiji Emperor after the Boshin War, because he wanted to. Boshin War, by the way, was a Naisen, or a civil war, and he wanted to honor the dead, the people who had died in the civil war. And I think there weren't that many in those days. I might have this number wrong, but I think it was like 3,500. And the interesting thing about this Yasukuni Shrine is not only are Japanese soldiers listed and enshrined there, but also Japanese enemies are listed and enshrined there. Now, any typical Shinto shrine has usually not always, has three parts. The Haiden, when you walk in, you look, that's the front part of the shrine, and then there's a long like hallway, and there's the Honden. And the Honden, or the main hall, are where the soldiers who have served Japan, they have become one with the kami, or the god, and their spirits are there, are housed there, so to speak. And then in this particular case, Yasukuni has something called a CHINREISHA, which literally means spirit pacifying shrine, and that is especially for the people who fought against the emperor or the government, which is kind of interesting, right? Now, the word Yasukuni actually comes from some old Chinese poem or something, and the literal meaning is pacifying the nation. And I think what it means is like, okay, so these soldiers gave their lives for our country, so let's honor them and pacify the country that way, because that's what we should do, right? These people gave their lives for the country, just like we would do in America, right? The other interesting thing about Yasukuni that I did not know is that it isn't just Japanese soldiers who are remembered there or interred there. It's not really interred because, of course, everyone's cremated in Japan, but they're listed or enshrined there. It's also people who worked for the empire in other ways. For example, relief workers, factory workers, citizens, and I've seen. There's a list on Wikipedia. They also have children from Okinawa, people who had to evacuate a boat, things like that. But they were all in the service of the empire, and then of course, that also includes people who are not even ethnically Japanese, like Taiwanese and South Koreans. Now, I don't know if they were willingly helping the Japanese government, or if they were just inscripted or enslaved somehow, or forced to do it. But anyway, and on the other part, remember I mentioned the CHINREISHA. They also have this part of the shrine remembers the soldiers who fought against the empire. There are I guess, list of soldiers that represent British, U.S., China, Korean, and Southeast Asian forces as well. So isn't that interesting? And not just human beings, but also animals. Now, I've never been there, so I don't know if they have like a statue of a horse or a dog or something, but apparently animals are remembered there as well. So it's a pretty interesting place. I haven't been there personally yet, but I hope to get out there someday just to see it, I guess, pay my respects. That's the information on Yasukuni. It's pretty interesting story. Now the other thing about this was, is Japan becoming militaristic? Because I did a quick search on Google, and I typed in the word right wing and Abe, and I found like 2,000 or so articles talking about this. So of course a lot of people are talking about this. It was interesting. I think a British article I read says that everyone should implore Japan to not become militaristic, especially America. And I'm like, really? We're going to tell them? I mean, America is like, our military. We are so our economy. I mean, oh my God! Don't even get me started. I mean, suffice to say, I don't think America has any right to tell Japan not to grow their military, right? But the good news for all of you who are interested in Japan is that although you might be reading all this stuff in Japan, in your local media about Japan becoming more rightist in its policies and stuff, and although those policies are on our current Japan's current prime minister's platform, they are also not subjects that he actively pushes at all. Right now, the Japanese people, who, by the way, most Japanese people support the right of Japanese to visit Yasukuni, but most Japanese people right now are just interested in improving the economy, and that's it. And Abe knows that, and that's what he's concentrating on right now. although these things, he has a lot of things on his platform that might make you think, oh, he's going to turn Japan into a military power again. Wait until the economy gets better. When the economy gets better, that might happen. Right now, we are far away from that, so I wouldn't worry about that. And for those of you interested in Japan, nothing has changed in Japan. So this does not affect our daily life here in Japan at all. Just once in a while we see something in the newspaper. But most of Japan is, like America, concentrating on just trying to get a job, save money, buy a house, live their lives. It's not really affecting anyone's life at all. And we pay attention to the stupid, gossip and entertainment news, just like any country. But I am interested in knowing what your perception of Japan is in that. Do you get the feeling from your media that you read in your local newspapers that Japan is becoming more of a right-wing country? I mean, is that what the impression you guys are getting? Because I get that stuff all the time. Anyway, those are my two thoughts on the recent events that happened or did not happen at Yasukuni. I'm actually more interested in seeing the new Wolverine movie that's coming to Japan soon. It was filmed in Japan supposedly. And I want to know if you guys know anything about the new Godzilla movie. The guy from Breaking Bad is going to be in it. Wow! I hope they do a good job with that. Those are actually what are more interesting to me, and it will probably affect my life more than anything that Abe is doing right now. Thanks for watching, guys. My name is Victor. I am the King of the Morons, and do me a favor, and if you enjoyed this video, got anything out of it, or if you didn't, rate it either way. Let me know what you thought, and I'll talk to you guys soon.